What's good, man? We are back for another fucking edition of the Real Rap Coalition podcast. We got some similar faces in the building today, and we got a cool ass movie to go over, but we gotta obviously introduce the people. Starting at the top of the list.
Damn, what? Top of the list.
That's you.
Damn, that's crazy. Yo, it's motherfucking Black Rootz in this. Hold on, no. My new name alert. Black shirt guy is in the building. What's happening with niggas?
And who's the creative person that is underneath my name?
Oh, I thought it was you next. Yeah, man. You already know what it is. Creative choice, Kaleb. You know what I'm saying? I am not an NPC. I'm the main character.
FDub, you already know what it is. It's good to be back.
Yeah, the original host here, man. A little bit under the weather, so I had to take a step back. Showtime Slim, man. And we got Lordy in the building too, man, but he ain't here right now, so we're going to get started without him. He'll pull up whenever he ready to pull up. Let's go.
I'm telling.
Since Slim is a bit under the weather, I will weather the storm as the host for today. Bob Celeste.
Fire.
That's fire.
Fire.
That's a double.
Thank you. And even though he's seeing dark clouds, I'm
I don't
still
like
here
it.
That's all right. Still going, bro.
That's
this
enough.
podcast.
but nonetheless, despite Slim seeing the dark clouds, I'm here to provide the summary because I'm seasoned. Now
that was
this
crazy.
nigga.
He's still
crazy.
scheming.
Man,
He's still
scheming.
It's like
with
he's
the
a
hostess.
battle rapper or something.
With the hostess.
It's like he's a battle rapper.
The battle rapping is toxic and evil. All right, so we got this week starring Ryan Reynolds. Sorry, in 2021, we got Free Guy. Now, I don't want to get too deeply into the story because I think there's a lot to talk about with this movie. Definitely an interesting one and a little bit of a change up from the type of plots we've been, going forward in these movies. So basically, I don't know if the people in the crowd is familiar with the concept of a spoiler, but this episode and all the other episodes on the channel are obviously going to have spoilers. So please, if you haven't watched the movie, just watch it and then, watch the shit after. But Free Guy is a movie about an MMO, a massively multiplayer online game. It's a kind of game where you can log in and basically do whatever the hell you want with a bunch of people around the world who do what they want too. And in these games, there are the characters that the players, customize, control, and explore the world with. And there are characters who are literally dubbed NPCs or non-player characters. Now, in this game, it seems to be the case that one particular NPC, whose name is Guy, literally just Guy, creative name.
That's how not important he was. His name was just Guy.
Right? Yeah. Guy is literally just a guy. He's the stereotypical example of a nondescript working class guy. Wakes up every day, has the same cup of coffee, talks to the same people, and does the same job. But certain things happen, and Guy starts to act basically outside of what is his expected programming. Guy is no longer getting up and maybe wanting the same coffee or wanting the same clothes, or he's starting to think for himself, it seems. And this movie revolves around the gaming studio responsible for the game, the people involved with the development of the game, as well as the owner of the franchise, and finding out basically how to deal with this essentially self-aware non-player character in the game. So that's basically the synopsis of the story, and obviously it's very interesting. And even from the first minutes of the movie, we're kind of getting showed sort of what the world is, that these characters are gonna be in and stuff. So let's get it jumping, man. Like what y'all think? First off, is there anything on your mind just immediately jumping out at you about this movie? Any thoughts? Let's get it.
Probably the first thing that jumps out for me is, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I can see why other people would have a problem with it. Ryan Reynolds is pretty much like the same person a lot of the times in his roles. He has a style of which he acts. And at this point, I feel like it's just himself. Like, I feel like he does this in regular conversation with regular people or people who are regular to him. But, there are certain, one-liners that he say, or, just funny little things here and there. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but again, I can see why other people
I feel
would.
like it was
Maybe
toned down for this movie, like because you know what I'm saying. He was
probably
playing a character where it was like more so, like innocent and not knowing the outside world and whatnot. So he was just like normally Ryan Reynolds' archetype of like a role is sarcastic comedy. You know what I'm saying? A little bit over the top. Snarky type shit. But like here. You know what I'm saying? I think it was more of like a wholesome comedy because he doesn't know much about the world.
I don't think I've seen him in a serious role just yet either. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Oh, he's had a few of them.
I've seen him in a serious role. One in particular, he was in Buried, which is another great movie if y'all haven't seen it. But what I was gonna say was that I feel like I think him being kind of not knowing what the fuck is going on was kind of a little bit of that sarcastic style that he uses. I think it was kind of written into the script for him. Like they'll say some shit and then he'll innocently say some stupid shit because he doesn't know what they're talking about type shit.
Right.
And I think that kind of is his character. Like he does it purposely in other movies. I think they just did it unintentionally, but intentionally, if that makes sense. They made him accidentally say shit because he didn't know anything.
Let's just get into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do y'all think of Ryan Reynolds' performance within the movie, like as the main character?
Fire.
I think it was great.
I thought he was good. I thought he was good as well.
I thought he did.
I've seen him in bad movies. For example, Blade Trinity was terrible, but I'm never disappointed in his role, like his character or his acting. Like I'm never disappointed. Like he's probably like top 5 white actors for me, to be quite honest.
He's number 2 for me.
So quick question. Hold on, top actors or white actors?
White.
Well, who's your one?
Mark Wahlberg.
Fire. That's my same one. Hey, you shut your goddamn mouth. All right.
You don't even believe that shit.
Jesus Christ.
I do believe it.
No, but
how you feel about it?
Go ahead.
Ryan Reynolds was bro. He was fired though. He went crazy doing the same typical shit, but it worked out perfectly with this movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think
the nigga was just so like curious and didn't understand shit. He had to figure it out himself. He played that every time, but it actually made sense. I think Slim just said that shit like 5 minutes ago, but
exactly.
Yeah, it made sense that he was clueless as a motherfucker in this movie. So
yeah, and I mean the early screen time, like they make it really clear, like you're supposed to watch this Ryan Reynolds and not ask too much of him. You're supposed to kind of just see how like him and the other characters like sort of relate and just kind of watch how the way he conducts himself bounces off all the other egos in the story. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like his blissful ignorance and stuff like that actually worked well for what his character was supposed to be. I agree with Slim on that.
I have a question for the group. What was, if you could narrow it down to one, what was y'all's favorite line of the movie? I'll start with mine. When he's like starting to come into himself, pause if necessary. This is probably very necessary. But like when he starts to come into his like own consciousness of like kind of figuring out that he can do other shit, and he asks for a cappuccino instead of the regular coffee that he get, and like the barista starts getting weird and shit. Fucking Officer Johnny in the middle of that shit gets offended, and he says, "Somebody's about to get shot." That is my favorite fucking line, bro.
Yeah. Yo, he fucked up the algorithm by asking for some different shit.
Yeah, for a cappuccino, bro.
I was like,
hey, that bitch started tripping. She was like, "What the fuck you mean you want some other shit? Like this what everybody gets." Like
are we doing this plot linearly or could we just jump around? Because I think this movie here
I assume we're just kind of like moving around.
We can jump around.
I
really don't mind.
Yeah, we can jump around.
You guys have fresh questions
about to say about that though.
Well, hey, Rootz, the best line of the movie is "Good fucking morning, Goldie." They had one F and they dropped that bitch in the perfect spot, boy.
Shout out Goldie, man. Shout out Goldie.
Hey, you hate fish, bro, Anyway,
as usual, I have a unnecessarily like nuanced, but I guess kind of narratively important like favorite scene. I think and dialogue wise, favorite scene is when he gets hit with the revelation that the world is sort of fake, and he feels like it's an utter rejection from Millie. He's sitting with his his buddy.
Shout out Buddy.
At Buddy's crib, and he's saying to him,
Buddy might be a fruit.
And he's,
anyways, go ahead.
He might be, or he might just be Haitian because they're overly friendly. But essentially, they have this talk about, well, buddy, if you found out that everything that was here was just not real, like what would you think? And he starts off joking, right? Like, making like a little pass and saying like, oh, if I was just here, like as Buddy, your friend, trying to like help you out through a tough situation. I said,
right,
look, man, I'm sitting here with the intention of helping my best friend in this moment. If nothing is real, this moment right here is definitely real.
Hey, that was fire to me too. I ain't gonna lie.
That was an extremely strong, like carrying water for the main motif of the movie, son. I thought that was like a really well done. And it's funny because moments like that in a sort of comedic like movie or a comedic texture to a movie, they break up that constant sort of like everything is like loose and there's levity. It's like that was like a real like kind of serious moment. So I thought that was a really strong piece of dialogue.
Hey, they got a couple of those in the movie. I'm going to talk about another one later on. But does anybody else have some shit that they wanted to say about Ryan Reynolds and his performance, or y'all want to move on to some of the other characters?
No, I want to talk about Keys. Oh, my bad. You can go ahead, Fireworks. I'll go after you.
I was just gonna agree with something that with what Luno said with his opening statement. I can kind of see though why people would get tired of the typical Ryan Reynolds shtick. Pause if necessary. You feel me? I thought he was funny. That's really all I got to say. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and the world he was in was interesting too. So even if it's slapstick Ryan Reynolds doing his formula, like it's at least good to see that in this world it's a valid way of being.
Yeah, it meshes.
Yeah.
But Pujols, what I was saying is like we could talk about other characters. It sounds like you have an opinion on another character, man.
Yeah, I like Keys. Yeah, that's the white dude who was also
the programmer.
Yeah,
I liked him, but he just did a lot of
bitch ass shit.
Basically bitch ass shit, bro.
Yeah, he did something.
Nigga, take your game code, put it in his game, and then you go work for the nigga while your bitch in a lawsuit against the nigga.
He say he didn't know that shit though.
Hold on, real quick. I think it wasn't that he won first. I don't think it was that he didn't know, and it was definitely like weak of him. I feel like to go work for him after that. Even if my friend is in a lawsuit with somebody, I'm not gonna go work for them. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not cool to me.
Yeah,
that aspect of it.
I agree.
But also even on like different levels, that like this is the person that you care about as more of a friend, which is what you base this programming off of. So even more so, like that wasn't cool. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
One thing I think that they could have made him was a little bit more of like they humanized him because he was definitely having struggles with this whole situation. Even though he was knowledgeable, MIT grad, they didn't make him like a super genius, which usually they do with like the main lead in like a kind of computer oriented story. They have they have the one dude who's kind of like a calculator, or like who's just like super precise master coder.
Nah, he didn't want to, bro. Like
they didn't do that with him.
Telling them like, hey, bro, you really good at this. You can move up. I'll stay where I'm at. Depressed little bitch ass.
He's just a regular ass like socially awkward smart dude. You know.
Yeah, but he has a moral. Like he has morals. It seems like he cared more about creating a good world for the player base than he cared about the profit end of things.
Well, he said it in the beginning. Like they had the little scene with the fucking interview and shit, and they're like, what gets you up in the morning? And that motherfucker really, like he said, he loves code.
Man said codes.
Like,
codes.
Hey, I think
he did. He said the numbers don't lie to you. Like words will lie to you and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like what Luno said, I think he did, but I think it took Millie to really bring it out of. She cared way more than he did. Mm-hmm. They both cared. Yeah. But he was kind of
non-confrontational. That's part of it.
I feel like he was kind of complacent. He kind of was like,
Yeah.
all right, that shit dead. I'm working for Antoine now type shit. Where she was really the fighter between the two. And so I think it just took her to bring it out of him for sure.
All right. Well, how did y'all feel about the Millie character, like the actress' performance?
I like Millie a lot.
But before we get to Millie though, I want to point out a different character. I feel, to add to Pujols' point, I feel like that bitch ass shit, like point that you made, that shit could be applied to Mouser as well. That the Indian dude with the long hair or whatever.
Yeah, but that was
bro. Because hold on.
So.
Yeah, here's why I believe you can.
Oh, he definitely he was more of a hoe than Keys was, for real.
That part, and also like he didn't really redeem himself until like the final scene. You feel me? Where he's like, oh,
that redemption.
He's like,
gotta redeem himself for. He don't.
He was a bitch the whole movie, but then
I don't mean to cut off. I'll let Fireworks get off.
Shit, and he decided to have enough.
Yeah, let Fireworks get off the rest of his thought, and then
go ahead.
Okay, so you said that Keys like he shouldn't have worked. It was wrong for him to work for Antoine. You feel me?
Not wrong, bitch ass.
Or well, that right. I feel like Mouser was doing the same shit. He was working for Antoine. You feel me? By redemption, I mean like at that last scene. Spoilers. He was like, I'm not gonna do this because Keys is my boy. Nigga, what the fuck? But it took you the whole fucking movie to just for that.
But Fireworks. But one thing I think it is that he's not actually redeeming himself, because what is his strategy usually? It's to stick with the one who's winning.
It's like he sees
the big boss is the one who's telling everybody delete the game. He's not about to go against him for his quote unquote boy. We know exactly what kind of nigga he is. And at the end of the movie, the only reason you fuck with these niggas is because they won the lawsuit. Get out of here, son. You lucky they let you on the team.
I'll say this. I feel like in his case, I agree with Fireworks. I thought the same thing. Like he said, like, man, Keys is my boy type shit, but he didn't help in the whole movie. But I see the other side of it. I didn't know his name. His name Mouser, I guess you said.
Yeah, Mouser.
I feel like from his side of it, they kind of showed he didn't know. Like he wasn't on Keys' side throughout the movie, but he didn't know that Antoine actually stole the shit until he kind of got that confession from Antoine at the end. And then he was like,
they was going to look for the servers and whatnot.
Exactly. Yeah, so I kind of get his side of it. He was just a worker, and he was working there. It wasn't personal for him, and he had no evidence.
And he had loyalty to Keys, which is why he made the decision that he made,
which he didn't
not help anymore.
He found out that
I
shit,
guess, man, but it took him a long time to try to get right.
But he didn't know, KT.
He didn't know.
What you mean? I feel like he didn't know in the same way Keys didn't know. Keys says he didn't know that shit, but there's a very strong indication. You know,
there's a strong. But hold on, there's a strong indication for Keys to know. Yes, in which I think he may have been in denial, and also that he was making some bread and he was doing something that he liked to do. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
so
hold on a second.
Which doesn't necessarily justify him going against his against it. Go ahead.
Sorry, the backdrop of the moment that we find these characters for the duration of this film is after the lawsuit has been initiated, right? And I would understand that people would probably be in the know about Keys' proximity to Millie as like the original creators of the original concept, and that the game code is probably in there in some fashion, or the game is at least based on it, right? And Keys has been vocal about that shit, right? So I just don't think I'm ready to accept that nobody in that office already don't know that this nigga is crooked.
But let me tell you the thing, Luno. What they did was, the whole time when they was talking about the lawsuit type shit, they never once said Keys was a part of the lawsuit. They were saying Millie. What Antoine said was that Millie, whatever her last name was, she had a lawsuit out against him, and he said it'll never see the light of day because her ex-partner or whatever works for him. And so I feel like it was.
He said a motherfucker made him sign an NDA and some shit.
Yeah, he had to sign an NDA and shit. So I feel like it wasn't Keys that was originally like in the shit suing Antoine or whatever. It was Millie, and as it went along and she started finding out, more shit.
I just feel like you should be suspicious if a motherfucker make you sign an NDA behind some shit that you built. You know what I'm saying?
But if somebody was suing you though, like if you know your bitch suing a nigga, I'm not gonna be surprised if they ask me to sign.
You gotta stop saying that though. Like that wasn't his bitch. Like they were just friends. Even in the interview that they had,
you're friends. Either way, your friend, your bitch. If I know this person who's suing my boss, he's gonna make me sign that. I'm not gonna be surprised.
So
Oh
I
yeah,
can't talk to her type
You
shit.
know what?
Yeah, clearly.
You guys are really awakening me to something about the characters in this movie. Like,
What's up?
I think they gave Guy like this real like spotlight as protagonist, even though he's like AI or whatever else. Like
Mhm.
even the big boss, like the big boss who's the main antagonist of the story, was kind of like empty to me, right? He shows up on the screen, he says a bunch of dumb, like
Dumbass shit.
Zoomer words and stuff
Yeah,
like
it was a
that.
bunch of Zoomer speak.
Zoomer speak, basically. He gets up there, he's acting like an idiot most of the times he's on the screen, and he's just like shouting out orders, But he was
Well,
his
real
ingeniousness and his
quick.
hiding the game
Quick
inside the
question.
game or whatever else. Like we don't get that until the end. So they didn't even like develop his nefarious nature or like his secret plan in any sort of fashion. We just kind of get hit with it later,
Quick question for me and the other people who don't know. What the fuck does Zoomer speak mean? I've never heard that in my life.
Zoomer
It's
would just
just
I don't know
refer to,
that either.
like the kids nowadays who are on like Fortnite all the time.
Oh,
and stuff, the
Generation
kind of
Zoomer.
Little
Okay.
Fortnite dance
Okay.
ass bullshit, some like weird slang terms that
Yeah,
Right,
a
you
little
just,
I got
the
you.
same.
use your context clues, Roots.
But
Fuck
what
you
I
and
was
no
gonna
context
say,
clues. I asked a question.
I wanted to
Influence
know what
skills.
everybody else thought about like the main antagonist. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I share a similar opinion that Luno did. Like I feel like he was just a fucking goofball and shit. Like just with like the capabilities of enacting some nefarious shit. But I don't feel like he was ever like presented as like a hugely credible
wasn't a
threat
large
to
threat, yeah.
mankind.
Yeah, they could have did
Yeah.
that better. They could have did that better.
I think
He
it was
was
just
an
in
nigga, man.
the setting that they were in. He was fitting for the setting that they were in. Like he was as evil that he needed to be for that setting, for him to be the
Although,
evil guy.
what I will say is that this might be one of those rare instances, and feel free to disagree, where an antagonist, like that's definitely like the main antagonist, but a secondary antagonist could be a set piece rather than a person, right? The antagonism here might, be more so set of like the existential crisis, you know what I'm saying? The real like question of like the shit that guy has to go through his journey might more so be an obstacle than the actual person was, and it might be more about the journey than the destination.
Well, yeah,
I think that would be like the meaning of the movie more so
Correct.
than like what's going on between the characters in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I would say that like in the case of the mob boss, take like the Nightcrawler, right? Like Jake Gyllenhaal's character, right? Even though he was like the main protagonist, he was still like an evil dude, right? And I thought that when they had
He
him
beat a cop up and took his watch.
well, whenever he was on the screen and he was talking, I felt like there was a very strong sense of his evil, and the way that he sees the world was like very lucid to me. And so his evil was like palpable, and it was like a very strong part of his character. The dialogue always helped him. In this movie, I feel like our antagonist, who's supposed to be, supposedly evil and stuff, a lot of times he was just kind of a retard. Like I didn't feel like an evil essence or a vibe for him.
He was like a goof ass.
He was a dickhead.
I agree.
Yeah, he
I
was
agree.
just a
He was a
dumb dickhead. Yeah, and so like when they kind of exposed later on that he did something like kind of sneaky and like hid the game code behind like some textures so like people couldn't see it, he built it into the game and it was like proof that like he stole it and all this other shit. I'm just like, you guys did nothing this whole movie to show me this sort of evil genius element or this sort of like
but like realistically,
yeah,
after it was all over, like the fucking the elements of him being a dickhead like still shown through, because like you have like this kind of tense scene where like he's about to kill the last of the game and she's like, yeah, I just want like this little piece of the game so I can make my own shit, whoopty whoop. And like he says, you're giving away millions of dollars. Who would do that? Right? You know what I'm saying? It feels like, oh no, the bad guy wins. But then he just fucking like got smoked. He didn't get any benefit at all. Like he still fucking got arrested and like, like he's on TV looking like a goofy and shit. Like I don't think there was ever
it's because right. So I hate to be like super contextual here, and I'm not trying to be a brainiac about it either, right? But understand that he is the lead, the CEO or whatever, right? And so if he says, I'm going to delete all user accounts or whatever on a game that he got his IPO from people who are investing in this game as a project and trying to see long-term gains, what do you think kind of trouble he's going to get in with his investors when he breaks contractual agreements to get back at his staff?
Well, no, that's
basically,
fair.
right?
I'm just saying that, like, there was never a point where it even felt like he really won. You know what I'm saying? Like even when he won, he lost immediately.
Yeah, but KT, they kept throwing these little curveballs at Guy and Millie, and so it's like it was almost like oh no, they're doomed, like 3 or 4 times in a row type shit.
I think the shutdown was a big thing, right? The shutdown was a big thing, and they plot armored him through it. But besides that, like a lot of the time I see him on the screen, it just seems like he's agonizing about his profits. It didn't seem like he was like a master manipulator who was in control of a situation that seemed like it was slipping out of his hands, which I really need in an antagonist.
Supportive of Guy. He was supporting Guy.
Yeah, because it was making him money.
He was making him money. It was getting him views and whatnot.
What was he trying to do? He was trying to use Guy as a springboard into
but that's what I'm
Free
saying.
Guy 2, or the Free Guy 2 or whatever the next game is, right?
Free City
2, right? So he's like, oh, if Guy's doing good, then we can just like bounce off this. We're gonna put him in the next game. We're gonna put all the or whatever.
Yep.
But it was the 48 hours to launch, and nobody cared about. There was nobody pre-buying the game, and everybody cared about Guy, who's in the original. So shut it down, wipe it. You know, so yeah, I don't think his like evil, malicious character was like really fleshed out super well. So he was a kind of empty antagonist, but we get a shining, heroic, zealous, fucking free guy. You know, so I just you know. It's kind of off balance, and it's kind of a PG-13 feeling movie or like a PG movie where it's just like very storybook with how they're trying to sell the moral of it. It's so clear who the good and the bad guys are, but at the same time, it doesn't really do anything for you. It's like a children's book, and I think that's a weakness. You know.
What did y'all think about the effects and everything?
Yeah,
like,
that's
how
what
did
I
it
was
look?
about to say. Like the world is beautiful. Like they did a good job, like animating something, you know, that would be like if you lived in a video game, what would it look like? And you know,
yeah, and little things like, you know, how they implement when the server's getting shut down, how there's like a lag, you know, the delay in people's voices, kind of like how Discord glitches when you lose your connection. A lot of those little elements of tech were thrown in, and I think those are like beautiful like ornaments for the movie. But you know, it's kind of like Oblivion, right? Oblivion looked surreal, but there were just too many holes we could point out how they kind of wrote the characters and the stuff that was going on the screen. So if you give us a beautiful world, you got to meet it halfway with great content, like Midsummer. So you know, so that's just one contention that I had. I didn't mean to possess the.
I
don't agree with that.
I have one, KTL.
Go ahead.
The only thing I don't like, which we didn't really talk much about the scenes themselves. So, you know, like fucking Guy sees Millie for the first time walking down the street, and all of a sudden he's infatuated with her, and his whole life changes at that moment type shit. And so they go along. He's trying to help her out with her mission. She say, come back whenever you got, you know, your level up type shit, because she think he's a player. And so he goes out and does all this good shit. He levels up, this and that. He starts to go viral. At one point, he met her in the park. Yeah, they went in the park together where they got ice cream and they got on a swing or some shit. And then he did something where he kissed her, which is not an actual function of the game. They was like, there's no button to kiss type shit. And he ended up doing it to her because, you know, he's a real
even though she
guy.
did it later.
Well,
and so that's my problem right there, Luno. She did it later.
I knew he was gonna say it too.
That's my only issue here. Go ahead, Pujols.
With you don't really be playing games and shit like that. So with games and shit nowadays, it's niggas who do like mods and shit where you can do damn near anything in a fucking like GTA. You could have Harry Potter in that whole airing niggas out. Like,
but look, Pujols, she didn't like she specifically said, well, he wanted to kiss her.
For that.
Well, Keith said that, but he said that he wanted to kiss her, and she was like, all right, if you know how. And so of course she wasn't aware of the
I know how.
Yeah. And so when it comes to later where she needs to get him to remember shit, she just out of nowhere. And it's like,
okay, that's kind of.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They have times where kind of like I think that happens in movies a lot where the setting that they put them in doesn't allow them to do the things that they do sometimes. You know,
that's fair. But you know what? I think issues of continuity like this are definitely weaknesses we're talking about. I mean, there's a lot of things in this movie that happened where there was like additional function added to the world with the rules that were clearly explained to us, you know, like besides just that, right? So we understand that Guy was a particular character whose personality and stuff was supposed to mimic his feelings for Millie, right? So we get an explicit, explanation of why it is that he has this ascended sort of capability compared to other NPCs. But this individual NPC was also able to quote unquote awaken or free the other NPCs to do a full scale riot and just relocate to
They
the,
did
to the
a
coast,
revolution.
right? And it's like, well, where's the explanation for why those characters
to be
becoming
fair,
Give
peaceable?
my whole,
they
Luno.
did
They
like
already-
early.
They explained it.
Yeah, they didn't like fully explain that part, but like earlier in the shit when he's sitting there, like explaining to her about like this guy shit, you know what I'm saying? He was like saying that, like the coffee barista bitch, you know what I'm saying? She figured out how to make this coffee,
A
like
cappuccino, yeah.
do some shit.
And the blonde,
This
the
other
blonde
bitch, she
woman
wrote
too,
a book
Through trial
about
and
like
error.
men and shit. You know what I'm saying?
about gender roles.
They
Yeah.
explained though. They said that the AI, that was her whole goal with her game, like for the AI to naturally learn and shit. So they
Learn
did
and
kinda
evolve.
explain-
Yeah.
Yeah, they did
I
kinda
took it like that
evolve.
too. Like Guy was
Yeah.
just the first one to be able to do that.
He
And I
was
figured
he was meant to be the person who not only learns on his own, but influences other people to learn.
I'd like
Right.
to like know y'all thoughts on that though. Like, do y'all think that like that's some shit that could really happen?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think so.
absolutely.
Make,
Yeah.
and now,
I
now
mean,
when I say that, I'm talking about like a motherfucker makes, you know what I'm saying, like makes the code for a game where it is like this, you know what I'm saying, where it's based off a learning and evolving world, and a motherfucker, you know what I'm saying, like rips that bitch and just, you know what I'm saying, makes some whole different shit. Like that game wasn't nowhere like the other game and shit, but they had like, underlying values of that bitch. And that shit just become awakened and change the whole type of shit. Y'all think that's some shit that could happen?
Well, understand that AIs are running on protocols. They're learning systems. So, like, they basically, you put them in, as long as there's inputs going in, it's going to do a learning process and then output something. So, as long as AI is in the mix, there's always going to be some kind of learning. And I agree that they did touch on the fact that the project of the game was to have this sort of AI learning element. But why is it on screen that it seems like they're trying to show us that the world itself operates more or less routinely, regularly, in a fixed way? Why are they presenting us all these NPC characters having the same repetition every single day if this is the project of the evolving and constantly changing world?
because I think what it was like he said, Guy was programmed that way because of Millie. And
Yes.
so once Millie got added to the picture, I believe that's where
Well,
everything started to
technically,
change.
So you're saying
if
domino
he being
effect.
for real, he was programmed.
yeah,
that way
domino,
because
yeah,
of
domino
Keys.
effect.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
domino
saying?
effect.
Because remember,
Is that
Keys was the reason they was programmed like that. If we being real, you know
No,
what I'm saying?
Keys was the reason for the program,
The
but he
initial
did it.
difference. Yeah.
He
But
did
that's
it
what I'm
Or the
because of
saying,
Millie.
how
inspiration. The
he,
inspiration was
Millie
in
was
it.
the
do that
inspiration.
shit because
But
he
but
like
but
fell in love with that hoe.
I understand what you guys are saying. So let's suppose Millie like never joined the game. If this was the project to create like an evolving, changing, reactive world, then if Millie never came into the picture, then Guy would have never changed his morning routine and would never have lived like a
Correct.
unique life, and nobody else would have
Correct.
been motivated to change. She would have never made her capture. Okay, so it seems to be the case that if the game was built to be constantly evolving, they weren't doing it in the version of Free City that
No.
they had at the time.
Well,
Yeah,
there
because
might
Free
have been
City
other
wasn't.
parameters for different characters. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
KT,
But
the
like,
Free City was not meant to be that way. And the
no,
only
of
reason
course
that
not.
they found out that their code was in the game is because they did
That
it.
effect that with the
Yeah.
Millie shit. That was to show that like
Yeah, he actually stole our shit.
okay, so that's fine. Alrighty then.
Well,
Yeah.
Go
So yeah, there's nothing explicitly saying that it should have this cross functionality, but he did say something about whether or not like the next Free City game was going to be like backwards compatible, like you could play
Yeah,
it
he said he lied
yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
he
he said
did.
that he lied about it. Backwards compatibility just means you can play a game on an older system.
Different. Yeah.
If it's newer. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, or like if there was like a transition from the original game to whatever, right? So it could be the case that there is like some underlying coding there. But again, what was happening on the screen, I felt like there could have been so much more in the dialogue to make what was going on a little bit more powerful. Because honestly, I was just watching this movie to watch Guy do funny and cool and daring shit. Like he was the main focus, and all the quibbles and the trouble that the characters outside the game were having. I only cared about them insofar as it affected Guy. Like he was the true like spotlight in this movie.
Right. Yeah, facts.
All right. So I wanna say this, right? Like we talked about a couple of the negatives in terms of continuity errors, but I want to talk about something I thought was really cold was the plot twist in that bitch, right? Because I know Slim watched this bitch before, and I watched it before. I don't know if the rest of y'all had seen this movie before then, right? But I'm watching it like knowing kind of what happens, in the second viewing. And you know what I'm saying? The part like towards the end, you know what I'm saying, where like he's got the little fucking he's showing her that like in his apartment, he be doing that shit with the blinds and he can see that bitch. I think that's
I
cold
was gonna
as
say
fuck,
something about that.
and
I
I think
was
like
gonna
I
say something
rewatched
about
the
that.
movie,
Definitely.
like when I'm rewatching the movie, like he really did that shit like a couple times within the movie. But like watching it, you're just thinking it's an offhanded, bullshit. Oh, it's
I think
a
that's
future
creative.
guy thing, like, oh, this is just like one of his weird little routine things he does. But like when you watch it again, you kind of like notice like, oh shit, they really was setting us up the whole time,
Yeah, he was doing
And
that
I was
because
definitely gonna say something about that.
yeah, because
Go ahead, man.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I thought it was dope. I always think it's dope. The same way with The Last of Us, they always make something seem not that important, and then they make it important later on. So you get like one piece of the puzzle, and then they add the rest of the puzzle later on.
I
And
kind of foreshadow it.
I always I'm always looking for certain things like that, and pretty much anything that I watch. So with that being that small, because he's an NPC and he does the same thing every day. That just seems like that's part of his NPC routine of just standing at the window, flipping the fucking blinds. But they turn it into, oh wow, this is the key to finding out that I don't remember his fucking name, but the antagonist was
Antoine.
he fucked up. Antoine, he fucked up because he took out to where you could see it like straight off. But if you watch video games, then not watch, but if you play video games and have played video games for a long time, you can see the progression in which they've made certain things. If you played, I don't know, I'll say Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man when it was on PlayStation 2, there was no concept of reflection because video games weren't a representation of real life. They didn't start really trying to make things more real until more recent. Now, more recently, I'll say GTA 5, you stand in front of a window, just like in real life, the glare causes you to be able to see a reflection. So Antoine, not being a fucking gamer or not being a programmer like he was supposed to be,
he probably paid
doesn't think about something like that.
He was like, yo, I'm gonna pay you just real quick, get rid of this island over there type shit real quick.
Exactly.
Whatever. The nigga who did it, used a quick job, made some quick money. He didn't realize that he didn't take away one asset, which was the reflection on those blinds.
Which ended up being the key to progress the movie and get to the ending that we got to.
And it's so interesting too because why is it the case that the blinds themselves actually have the reflection of that island if the island is like a last remnant of the original game? It's like sort of like interesting how the main character or the character that was that inherited his will also has a house that's facing directly on that last part of the game, and his blinds are reflecting it. It's like kind of miraculous, sort of how those details happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just talked about some intricate shit. So let's talk about some ignorant shit now.
Oh boy! All right. I'm sorry, you have something
for this.
Yeah, like it's not as intricate as the other shit at all, but he's on his way to get to the island, running to the bridge, whatever the fuck he's doing, and all of a sudden Antoine tells his workers to put Dude in the game.
Shout out Dude, man.
Dude is a fucking unfinished prototype that gets added to the game. He wasn't ready to go in the game. What the fuck do y'all think about
dumbass boy?
I think it did exactly what it was supposed to do.
The lady told Antoine that he only got half a brain, and he still said throw him in there.
Yeah, but Antoine,
but that shows
good. He was like he's good. I developed.
He said I worked on himself.
Exactly, but even that decision to put a half, mentally in half person in a fucking game shows the type of person Antoine. Exactly, that's what he does, bro. He doesn't play video games. He's not a gamer. He's not a real business person. He just has money and does
And
what
he
he
don't
wants with
think
it.
of
Let's keep
nothing
it a
like
buck,
beyond
man.
like
Go ahead,
he don't
Pujols.
think of nothing beyond like his, immediate gratification and shit. Like this shit gonna help now. All right, bet. Who give a fuck what could happen?
His name Antoine, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, was he wrong? Like, the fake stupid ass guy was beating the shit out regular guy. If it wasn't for
That's
them
a
damn
fact.
shades, he was right. Antoine was right. That
He
shit
was. No, this is the thing. He was right about. So apparently, I'm guessing dude is just an upgraded guy. And
Well,
he's
yeah,
like a
because earlier
big,
in the movie he had said he was like, hey, take guy, make a skin, whatever the fuck, make him a hitman and some shit, and that's what they did.
okay, yeah. So he was like a big brute, like muscular type of character type shit. He was beating the fuck out of him, but
He was on buddy ass.
he was stupid. He was very stupid, and so he was able to get tricked like that. Who else? Like,
That boy
he
was
stupid
just
as
saying
fuck.
lists with
now that's plot
numerical
armor right
items.
there.
He was doing numbered
but
lists.
she
that
said
didn't even have nothing.
the reason I can't say it's plot armor is because she said that he only had half a brain before he even threw him in there.
Still,
she told
though,
us
bro.
that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
and God, they've already showed that if Guy can go from an NPC doing the same thing every day
I was
to
doing some
learning
cold
all of
shit.
these different things to be able to level up just from having conversations with people and using the world around him, of course he's able to figure out that this dude's
Look,
a
man.
fucking idiot.
Okay,
If I
that's
give him
cool.
these shades with a bunch of shit going on, he's probably gonna get off my ass.
Well, to be fair,
Okay.
it's because he's also
Hey,
like he's
Slim.
basically just
Yeah.
a guy, but like
Slim,
a
you
dumbass guy.
know, all
Like,
you
that's how
glasses
Guy
wearing
acts.
fellas in here.
Uh-huh.
If a nigga beating the shit out you, throwing you around for 10 minutes, you think ain't your glasses are gonna fall off of it? Like that nigga
They
shouldn't even have
did,
no
and he
shades
got the
by
Hold
him.
on.
Yeah, they did.
They
He
should
didn't
not
have
have
his
even been
glasses
by
on.
him. They
Look,
should not
hold
have
on,
been
buddy.
by
Buddy
him.
to him.
They should
Hold
not
on.
have been by him, bro. He
They
got his ass
weren't.
whooped.
So
Buddy
look,
threw him
hold
them
on,
hoes,
Paul.
Pujols.
Paul.
Oh, okay,
Exactly.
yeah,
Buddy
yeah.
threw that shit through the portal.
Yeah, we getting a little bit unruly. Let's
Yeah,
what was it?
can't hear y'all niggas talking
Like
over
Rootz.
each
Oh,
other.
yeah, you're right. Lil Rail threw them hoes to him.
Shout out
Yeah,
Lil
he
Real.
did.
My fault.
Lil Real.
Hey,
And
And
then
Lil Rail was
Dang,
smart
man,
enough to know that
like,
to use the shades then.
shit, I don't know. I think like Lil Rutt, that he was just Buddy was just a sidekick, dog. He was just out here. He was like, damn, my man's
a
getting
fruit.
shit beat out of him. This could probably help him.
And
Also,
Hey, why you think he was a fruit? Wait, let's get to that. Why you think he was a fruit?
Because he was
Robert?
rubbing that nigga's nipples, bro.
Well, there's that.
I didn't see
Man,
that.
what?
Not nipples,
He
but
talking about when he was
he definitely
rubbing-
had his
What
hands
dude
on another
pecs?
man's
It
pectoral.
was
What
dude
movie did
pecs.
you watch?
I didn't see
He's
that.
talking about when he was touching dude pecs and Ryan was like, "Leave him alone, don't touch him" or some shit, whatever the fuck.
Yeah. And then he was like,
he's like you,
he was
but he's
like,
bigger and better.
he was like, I could be your buddy too. I'm like, alrighty then.
What the
No,
hell?
I think he was just a
man.
goofy.
Alright, I
No,
get it.
no,
he
look.
just-
Yeah, I think he was just
I didn't-
goofy, bro.
I didn't get
Yeah,
no
he-
gay shit out of that.
Dumbass.
Nah,
No,
he was a
there-
goofy because he
there-
was like,
There was another moment.
He picked him up flowers. He was like, like I'm a feather or some shit like that. He was just being
I think he
goofy.
was just a fucking idiot, bro. Like
Yeah,
he was just
like
he
a
was
dumbass
exactly what he was
Steve,
supposed
boy.
to be, bro.
Nah, I think
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts.
Hold
Come
on.
on, bro.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
Nah, when they was
NBA,
fighting
bro.
the nigga, when they was fighting and shit, and my nigga pulled out the Captain America shield.
That
and
shit
all
was
no, that was
fire.
fire.
That was
That nigga
Boy,
said,
Chris
what the
Evans
fuck?
was
Yeah.
pissed.
Yeah, they had
All
Chris
the
Evans in there.
references,
Like
man.
that was
That
great.
shit was funny, bro.
Fire.
That nigga said, "What the shit?"
He pulled a Hulk arm out.
He had a Hulk arm and a
out of
fucking
nowhere. Then he had
lightsaber.
Nah,
a lightsaber.
that
They
shit,
played
It was
the they
funny.
played the Star Wars music, dog.
bro.
They played the fucking Captain America shit too.
Fortnite shit was
the
funny too.
plugs, bro. The plugs of just like different real world shit.
That shit
Like
is
for instance,
fire.
I know they had
the
a grip for that.
so look, right? They
They
had
did.
if y'all notice, right? If whenever like shit is like two people are talking or whatever, right? And if you look in the background, there's always shit going on in the background because they're in an active video game world. It's like GTA with a bunch of random people running around.
Mm-hmm.
The people in the background are like Fortnite jumping while they're running, bro, because that's like what people do in Fortnite. Like
nigga
they'll run
teabagged
and
the nigga
jump,
like
they
run
made
and
a
jump,
motherfucker
run and jump.
teabag.
Like
Yeah, T-Back was OD.
I just thought like
dying.
certain plugs was so fire to me. Like especially the Captain America shit, like,
Fucking,
with the
what's
music
his
and
name?
everything. That shit was
the
fire.
Channing
whole shit
Tatum,
was raw
Channing
too,
Tatum
pause.
character up there doing the little Fortnite bullshit dance on the
But,
fucking whatever he's standing on and
If
shit.
you want to say
hey,
somebody
also,
was true, it
Yeah, I'm about
probably
to
be
say
that
if you
nigga.
want to think somebody
yes,
is
and
hot,
that's
talk
what I was
about
gonna
him.
say.
Yeah, that
I
was the
don't
gay
know
scene.
what's going on with Channing Tatum right now,
I
bro,
said
and
the same shit.
I
He
don't
was
want
the
to get
same
us
shit in Bullet
canceled.
Train.
Exactly, KTL. That's exactly what I was
KTL
I
is
about to
was
pissed
like,
say.
right
man, what
now.
happened?
Right.
Oh,
He
look,
don't like Ryan.
look.
What's the
KTL,
name?
calm down. The hell?
That's
No,
Look,
I
pretty,
was
look,
that's
hold on.
crazy.
confused, man.
Not just that. Hold on, real quick. Not just that, KTL. Have you ever watched This Is the End with like all the
Yes,
celebrities in it and
yes,
whatnot?
Yeah,
And
that
he's a
shit
fucking
wild.
sex slave.
yes.
I don't know what's going on with Channing
He's
Tatum.
being
Maybe
typecast.
maybe he's just being him. You know, maybe he just finds that type of stuff funny. I believe it's a bunch of people that find that stuff funny. That
Just
You
shit
like
think
weird to
Ryan,
me.
you
just
think
like
he
this is
freestyled
like
that?
Ryan Reynolds. This is Shannon Tatum. When he get these comedy roles, he play the same type of nigga in every comedy. Like that's just
Yeah,
what he
He
is.
wasn't like that in 21 Jump Street.
He
Facts.
was
He was
without the
definitely
gay
not
shit.
like that.
He was without the gay shit. It's the
That's
same
what I'm
shit, just
talking.
not
That's
gay.
what I'm talking about. Like all the movies now, like he's always playing some sort of a gay or like a sexuality bent character.
Hey man, 2023. What
Jay,
you
you always
No,
playing.
I'm not saying it's inherently
We might
Running
bad.
have
gay.
to
I'm
take
just
this part
wondering, like,
out.
why are they
We might have to
typecasting?
edit this out.
Nah, y'all already made my man restart the intro. We
Well,
not
no,
taking
I'm
shit
not,
out.
because I'm not saying no, like hating that shit. What I'm
Well, you don't
saying is
edit
like
this.
I've never like I don't
I'm
know how he's
playing,
being
nigga.
typecast like
Hold it
this.
down, y'all. Hold it down.
All
What
right,
would
go
you
ahead,
say,
go ahead.
KTL?
I said I'm just saying like I there ain't nothing wrong with that shit. I'm confused as to why he's being typecast. Is this because before like 2 years ago, I don't remember him ever playing a role like that. You
Magic
know what
Mike.
I'm saying?
This is the end. Is from 2013, bro.
Well,
He
yeah,
been
no, I
doing
mean
this.
I don't remember
Oh
when
yeah,
that
that's
came out, but like
He played Magic Mike.
that's not he wasn't
Hey,
gay there.
fucking
He
Man,
was
yo.
But
like he
a
was
male
a male
stripper.
you
stripper.
said a
That's just what
sexuality
All
the
right,
based.
bro.
that.
Hey,
You said
hey,
sexuality
I
based.
said
come on,
bent,
man.
not base,
Niggas
bent.
talking about Magic Mike and shit, man. Get out of here, bro.
That's what he played in.
Well,
Did
I
he
think
not?
that's a hey, I think
What
that's
that got to do with anything?
I think
He
that
said a
hold on. I think
sexuality bent character.
hey, real quick, I think
Hey,
that's a good
fucking
sign.
yo.
This nigga pull up.
I think that's a good sign to get to the
Big
ratings.
character.
Unless anybody wants to talk about John Wick real quick, we can get into the ratings.
Yeah, talk about before we get into the ratings. What was y'all favorite scene from this shit?
Probably the fight scene.
Favorite
To be honest,
scene?
the fight
I
scene.
think
Hey,
the talking about the
One at a
dude versus
time,
guy
niggas.
fight scene.
yeah, I am. I'm waiting, dog.
Niggas
Dang.
is crazy.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Black
Shut
Fruits,
up.
if you want to start, we could just go down the list, honestly.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think my favorite scene was I'm kind of split between two. One was like the montage thing they did with him leveling up and doing all this good, cool shit. I fuck with that because for one, it's a normal thing for people to be assholes on games. Like I even find myself like I'm playing Harry Potter right now, and I'm so tempted. Like they like during conversations, they give you an option to say like the nice thing or the asshole thing. And sometimes, fuck it. And I'd say some asshole shit or whatever, right? And that's just like a regular thing for people to just be dickheads on fucking games, like towards other people. When you might be in a lobby and you just say some wild shit for no fucking reason. Like that's just a regular thing for like meta for games right now. But I think the fact that they was showing him be a good guy in a video game, I think that spoke a lot. I think that was very fire. That and the like kind of like I don't know. I guess you could say it's kind of like Matrix, like the scene where they're on the motorcycle. Millie and Guy are on the
God
motorcycle,
damn
and
it,
they
Ruth.
they run that bitch out of
Yeah, this
the
nigga's crazy. Fire.
out of the shit or whatever,
That's clean as fuck.
and and they like she's shooting niggas, and he's just staring at her like with this. Oh my god, this woman is so amazing type shit. Like I thought that was pretty fucking
Hey,
cool.
speaking
So,
of which, that's a good comedic moment, man. That bitch said, "Is that a Glock in your pocket?" He said, "No."
No.
She said, "What?"
it's
He said,
two
"It's two
Glocks.
Like
Glocks."
that blue face on
That was
That's
fire.
that blue
That
face
was fire.
shit.
Yeah,
Hey,
Blueface.
Hey, Slim, that didn't remind you of that Blueface song when
Of
Oh
he
course.
said
man.
Of course it did.
Hey, but
So,
I wanted
course
to
it
speak on
did.
Luke the
we
other.
asked for one and Roots gave us two. But
Yeah.
Luno, what
Well,
about you?
it
Facts, nigga.
sounded like
You
he
talking
took
about-
fireworks picks. So like,
Yeah,
And my name is Black Shirt Guy. Stop disrespecting me.
Go ahead, Luno, man. What's your favorite scene?
No, yeah. So I'm still heavily inclined to say that the man-to-man between Buddy and Guy was probably like the most powerful scene in the movie, and I think that it carried just like what the movie is trying to prove altogether. Sort of that like it doesn't matter whether or not like your life is real or whatever else. It's about the moment you're living in, you know. And so I thought that scene was powerful for that. But also just on a personal note, I kind of thought that when they kind of went on that little date and got the ice cream and stuff like that, and she's like slowly starting to understand that what she's dealing with is not just like a game character and like kind of falling for the dude. I thought that was like a pretty touching sequence.
Okay. KT, what about you?
Well, all right. So I kind of like have a similar perspective where like the first time I watched the movie, like there was one part where like I really like felt that shit on like an emotional level, you know what I'm saying? And then when I watched it the second time through, I didn't know if I would, you know, like you watch a movie, some things have less of an impact on you and whatnot, you know, whether it be a cold scene or an emotional scene or whatever. But like it got there and I felt like the same way, man, like right at the end of the movie, you know what I'm saying? Where like she's pulling up like the little file and shit because she, you know, guy basically tells her like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just a coded love letter to you, and the motherfucker that wrote that bitch is out there somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And like she pulls up the little video where he's telling her about like how, you know, he ended up coding like Guy to, you know, mimic his feelings about some shit. I think that was probably my favorite scene of the movie. Like I think, you know, it hit me emotionally both times I watched it. I just think that was like fire to me.
Dope.
Well, too, KT. I mean, FDub, my bad.
So yeah, I echo a similar sentiment as the last guy. Never mind.
Yeah, FDub, what about you? We heard from the two KTLs.
No, I'm gonna edit KTO's little footage out. But anyways,
White shirt
okay.
face, bro.
And lead us to the footage.
No, I'm joking. Nah, Rootz kind of just already grabbed like the two scenes that I like the best out of the movie. But
What?
Grab.
I was gonna say whoa too, but I was muted.
Grab? Like what? Grab? We're going grab?
I said
verbs are a little controversial around here.
Yeah.
all right, I clearly said the two scenes, but all right, like pause, I guess, in advance or whatever. But yeah, I don't got much to say, but go ahead.
Appreciate that pause, brother.
All right, Pujols.
Yeah, man, like that. That Captain America scene might have been one of my favorite. And yeah, I'm not like an emotional bitch ass nigga, so I don't care if he wrote a code. No, I just would have talked to the bitch in real life. That's just me though. I would have just talked to the bitch in real life and not put it in the game. That's just me though. So that didn't hit me.
Delay, Slim. I just want to kind of get Pool's thoughts on this. Like,
Thank you for your highlights, Pujols.
Hold on, let Luno go real quick. Go ahead.
No, I was just kind of Slim. Like, don't you think like any time that guy actually used his gamer controls, it was kind of dope. I mean, he was flying off the roof or like out of the building.
Yeah,
he
facts.
activated the bubble suit. I thought that was really exciting and shit.
Yeah, what's crazy, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing at first, but then he started to figure it out.
You know, even when he got like the power jumps from those shitty ass shoes that he bought, the $200 fucking cyan.
You ain't like the air jumps.
Joints,
He looked like he was kind of clean.
Them shits was clean, bro.
And it was
clean ass running shoes.
He had already.
Okay,
hey, Luno, it was
hold on, let
blue.
him
It
go.
was fit. He color coordinated, man.
if he's like has a good job or whatever, and he's got the whatever. But look, he can buy what he wants. But the jumps, like even at the beginning too, just added a lot of excitement. I think whenever they had Guy actually use the glasses capabilities, like those were better scenes. I thought that it was like when he was in the situations, but not really like doing anything with his powers and struggling. Where I was sort of like, why doesn't he pull out a bazooka? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, eventually, you know, he leveled up to level 100 and he was kind of just not really using a lot of the broken shit. So I don't know if you saw that too, Pujols.
He's a good guy, man.
Yeah.
I think my favorite scene is also the fight between Dude and Guy. One thing that y'all didn't mention, I don't know if y'all saw it. I don't know if I saw it the first time. I actually paid attention this time. During that fight, they did the Captain America shit. They did the fucking Hulk shit. They did the
Fortnite pickaxe with the pony on the end. I got that one.
They did that.
That's
they
what
did
that
the
was?
Hulk shit.
Yeah.
But they also did the
it
Doctor
was a
Strange
horror.
shit. I don't know if y'all caught the portals.
I caught that.
Was it?
I caught
I
that.
don't think.
hold
on.
That wasn't Doctor
that's
Strange.
one thing. That wasn't Doctor Strange. There's a game called Portal.
Yeah.
in which
it looks like Doctor
you
Strange.
can levitate shit and you can create portals with that
Yeah, you
same
have a
gun.
portal
So that's
gun,
what
you
that
Yeah,
shoot
glove
so
was.
so why can't it be Doctor Strange though?
Yeah, why
He do
can't
the
it be?
same
Because
shit.
he didn't
No, if it's
Well,
because he
because
didn't have a ring
with
on.
Doctor Strange,
like
that's fine. But
Oh,
I'm
like
he
just
ain't
in
saying
have no
that
Portal,
when it
ring,
you
comes
have
dog.
a
to
portal
gaming,
gun, and
when it comes,
they
yeah, when it comes,
identified that bitch
Oh,
as
he
a
had the
portal
gun?
gun.
yeah,
I
exactly.
just saw
It's
the
called,
portals pop up.
yeah,
I seen a nigga pop out the portal and then go in the portal. I thought that was Doctor Strange shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I played Portal a long time ago. The you have the portal gun. It can also lift things or put things down, and there's a difference between what portal is what. So where you shoot is one color, and then where you come out
It's
on the
blue
other
and
side is a
orange.
yeah,
different
it's blue
color.
and orange. They
Exactly.
did it in the movie
So
Hey,
too.
yeah,
yo,
that was a
Mr.
plug
Lawyer.
from Portal.
But Slim, one thing I did want to call out in that scene particularly was kind of how he ends up conquering this threat in front of him. I would have been fine if he was like using his abilities and stuff like that, and he just like kind of bodies him. I would have been fine if like he loses the glasses and they get into like some sort of fist fight, and he just uses ingenuity to sort of win it out. But I mean, putting the glasses on him and dazzling him with like the new world, and like he just somehow comes around and stops trying to kill
Still
like
fire.
Big
that.
fucking idiot, bro.
Yeah, a little bit anticlimactic. I'm not saying this dude was supposed to be anything, but for the last clash, the last main thing really standing in his way, like I kind of think they could have did some more with that.
Hey,
But
Luno, what
He
I was
had half a
wondering,
brain, Luno.
yeah, facts. He was an idiot. But look, I saw that
I agree.
that happened, and then what I saw later was whenever he finally got to the other side of the island and all the fucking AI, I mean the NPCs and everybody was cheering. Fucking dude was over there cheering. I'm like, what the fuck is he cheering for?
Yeah, he's like
He's
did
just
it.
a
I'm like,
happy ass idiot, boy.
Cause
That nigga's
he
he's like,
fuck
he
with
did it.
bro. Cause he's
It's
like just
him.
a dumber
Yeah,
version
he
of
don't know what
Guy.
the
Like
hell's
going
going on.
on. He don't.
Guy,
I
most of
told
the
you.
time, most throughout the
Now
movie, Guy
Slim know
is like
what
a
dude be
jovial
thinking.
guy. Like
You understand,
Guy
that
is
nigga's
a
an idiot.
jovial person. He's always happy in some way, shape, or form. So with dude being
Dude
you
came
know
up there trying to beat niggas'
a
ass.
Dude
He
was
way
just a
better.
happy
yeah, because
ass
that's just
idiot,
what the
boy.
yeah. But if they're basing him off of Guy, he's gonna have the same type of person,
Be
same type
honest,
of
guy wasn't
happy
trying
go
to beat
lucky
nobody's
type of
ass.
shit.
Guy wasn't. Nah, they had two different personalities to me. I think that nigga's just an idiot, and like it's like putting something shiny in front of an idiot.
That's exactly what it
That's
was,
what
and
it
that's
was.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. That's what I'm saying. I think their personalities wasn't the same.
yeah,
Guy,
but like
guy
okay,
was
so
like
Now
anytime,
nonviolent.
they personalities was the
so it's
same. Their
like
intellect just wasn't.
so look, it's like the fable of the lion and the mouse, where the lion is always trying to eat the mouse, but then he has a thorn in his paw, and the mouse gets the thorn out of his paw, and now they're friends. Like it's the same type of concept
Yeah,
where
because
dude is trying to kill guy
Yeah,
opens his eyes to all this cool ass shit, and now they cool.
That was a
that could
clean
be.
reference. Roots, I don't know where you found that hoe at.
That
I
nigga
don't either. I'm drunk.
Fucking
So.
Aesop.
went
One
to school.
thing, man. That nigga dude
Yeah,
lucky
yeah,
this
yeah.
wasn't
You would have
Stone
pulled some
Cold from the
hoes
condemned.
anyway.
he definitely was lifting like he was definitely bench pressing like 500 pounds.
He was carrying God with one
Hey,
arm.
some of that shit dude was saying because he was an unfinished prototype. That shit was funny.
As
Like I ain't
hell.
gonna lie.
Yeah,
That
he
nigga
said Rob
said I can
Lamarck.
bench press a
Like,
sentence.
That boy said there are three things I excel at: kicking ass, TBD, third thing.
Third
Like they
thing.
ain't even get the.
Hey, hold
They ain't
on.
even get
Hey,
the second one. They ain't even make
hold
the
on.
second one.
What the fuck is TBD? What is
It was
that? Did I miss
To
determined.
something?
be
Again?
determined. Be determined.
That's
Yeah, they ain't even in
hilarious.
the second one.
Yeah,
That's
to be determined.
hilarious.
to
That's
be
funny as
determined,
hell.
They only
third
had one
thing.
thing.
Third
That
thing.
nigga popped up and said catchphrase.
That nigga said
Antoine, hey, Antoine was trying to. He was like, I didn't come up with one, but catchphrase is a catchphrase. It's kind of cool, right?
Facts.
No, it's not, bitch. Like, what the fuck?
At the end of the movie, he said something else where he was like adjective, but he ain't had nothing to say. He just said
He
adjective.
said it's making
Yeah.
me feel
He
very.
was like, you seem very adjective.
Hey, Slim, but you
Nah,
worried
I
about
think
why he was happy about some glasses, boy.
I didn't say that.
I think that just speaks to how comedical the dialogue was in this show and not show, this movie. A lot of times, like it was just funny for the sake of being funny. I think anybody that's looking into it probably didn't get it.
It's super rough how they tried to mix the comedy and the
We'll
sort of
get-
drama going on, bro. Like
We're
there's
about
points
to
where
get-
they signal like we're getting a hefty story with like some real serious moral implications, but then on the flip side also you just have characters when in the heat of the moment just doing like dumbass shit. And like I'm cool with movies like this, but at the same time, like they could have, you know, if they were gonna do the serious shit, I think they could have fleshed out the more serious aspects of the movie a little bit more. And if they were gonna do the slapstick sort of comedy thing or whatever, don't distract us from it if you think it's useful with the kind of like half-baked kind of drama that's going on. Like sorry about that.
But well, I think that's kind of I hate to keep using this word, but I think that's kind of like the meta for slapstick comedy right now. If you look at Grown Ups, right? Both Grown Ups 1 and Grown Ups 2. There is slapstick comedy. There's a scene where in the second one where somebody gets shot across a fucking grocery store with because they opened a life raft box or whatever. But there's still a real life type of value that you can pull from it with the story and everything that's going on.
How comedies work. There's always a moral
Well,
to the
remember,
story. It's just
we're
a comedic
meshing.
medium for a real problem.
Yeah, we're meshing here. Like we're trying to combine the action, the comedy, and the drama elements and make it seamless. But what I think happens here instead is that there's moments where I'm just only looking at the funny, and then there's moments where I'm only looking at the seriousness. And I don't think either. Well, I think the comedy was actually pretty strong, but as far as like the drama of the actual plot, I was engaged because I was learning more. But it stops after a certain point where he's self-aware, the whole town's behind it, and now this is the climax, and it just seems like everything from this point on is more or less just a domino effect of plot armor. Like and you know, so
I can probably assume based off of that, you're probably not gonna feel the same way if you do watch this movie again. Like it's not gonna affect you as much, like KTL was talking about.
Well, I think some of the more emotive parts are probably not going to hit as hard. I am going to be a little bit more sensitive to how they like kind of explain the world, and then I would definitely also try to see how the way these characters acted, how it was actually justified. Because I think there was a lot of NPCs in the real world in this movie.
Let's get to the ratings, man.
Let's do it, good shit, boys. We're gonna start with Black Shirt Guy. Just go down the list.
It's Black Short Guy. I'm giving my rating. This is my third time. I think this is my third time watching this movie. I was very entertained by it the first time I watched it, and I'm still entertained by it now. Like I said, Ryan Reynolds is, like I said before, I don't think we was recording when I said this, and I'm drunk, so I don't care how anybody feels about this. Ryan Reynolds is part of my top 5 white actors.
Yeah.
Anything that he is in which I'm actually going to do more to make sure I watch more of his shit just to see, different changes that he makes when in different roles. But I think he did really good in this role. I think this movie did exactly what it was supposed to do, which was entertain. I fuck with this movie a lot. And I'm gonna watch it again. And if anybody else is either a Ryan Reynolds fan or a comedy fan or a video game fan, I would suggest this movie to them as well. So therefore, I'm giving this movie an 8.5.
Choice. Alrighty. So I am torn after discussing in a way that I didn't feel after just watching the movie. I think a lot of the kind of grain of salt that I took for a lot of the details of this movie, I thought I was more okay with them after just watching and kind of on my own terms. And I'm trying to take that seriously. But after discussing with y'all, I think right now, I think that what this movie needed was a little bit more cohesion. So from a visual perspective, this movie looked beautiful. I like the way they did the technology. I like the way they added the little effects and sort of details of like technological, computer gaming, coding, so on and so forth. And they show that in the movie, and I think that it does a strong part of like painting the world and developing it. I think that the characters on the screen, besides Guy, were really just functional and didn't really carry a lot of gravitas, even though I think that Keys and Millie were strong points guideposts, I think, for the moral of the story, their performance on screen was a little bit lacking. I think that Millie was a little bit too caricature of the sort of damsel in distress and who needs her like kind of knight in shining armor to like save the day for her in a sort of way, which fits the theme, but kind of like makes her a little shallow. And then, of course, we talked about the depotentiated main character in Keys, where Keys is not somebody that the audience can really put their faith in too much. Even though he believes in the right things, he's not really anywhere near as heroic as the character he created. So the guy was really the spotlight. Most of the other characters really don't give a fuck about, to be honest, even though funny stuff happened between them. And, lastly, there was a moral to the story about sort of the existential crisis somebody KTL brought up, right? Like in a world where like nothing is truly certain, we can be certain of the now. And so what happens in the now matters, right? This is a very strong lens. And I think that certain moments of dialogue truly carry this. But it's like outside of these moments where they're kind of saying like almost the name of the movie, kind of like in a way, like talking about like the freedom that they're trying to achieve. It seems like the dialogue didn't actually serve a strong purpose in pushing that message to its resolution, or really selling it to us, besides just like sort of the soppy kind of romantic flair that they had in this movie, and the revelation that the character was written to as a testament of love. So I think that this movie overall was extremely fucking entertaining from a visual perspective. Comedically, it slaps, and there was just a lot of really cool concepts brought to this movie. It's unique in that it captures kind of this Zoomer new age era of gaming media, in a way that I don't think I've seen a lot of other movies really do as successfully. But I think that the more serious point that they were trying to get across needed to be taken a little bit more seriously. Nonetheless, an extremely good film, actually, but just with a few fallibilities. So my final rating on this one is just going to be an 8.
All right, man. I don't think that I have a lot of the negative drawbacks that Luno stated, right? In my opinion, this is a very enjoyable movie. I know exactly what I went into this movie to watch, and it delivered on all of those fronts. It's got good moments of comedy. It's got a beautiful world. It's got great, references to things in pop culture, and relevant things. You know what I'm saying? It's just a feel-good movie, man. It's got great emotional moments, I feel like altogether, like, it's probably one of my favorite movies that we've watched so far. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to get like really too drawn out. Ryan Reynolds did a great job. They told a great story. I'm gonna give it a 9, man.
All right, my turn. All right, I'm gonna make this short and quick, I guess, because my peers. All right, pause, I guess, because my peers kind of just, they said a lot about the movie. I'll start with my rating. I gave it a 7. I thought I was entertained by the movie. Would I watch this again? No, not really. I thought that Ryan Reynolds, you feel me? Like I wasn't really expecting anything crazy or serious, because whenever I see his name on a flyer for a movie, I know what I'm essentially gonna get. You feel me? Thought the movie was entertaining. Definitely had a couple scenes I fuck with, a bunch of weird scenes, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah, so just flat out 7.
Oh, it's on me. I don't typically watch this type of shit, man. Niggas doing all this funny jumping around, wearing blue shirts and shit. I don't be watching this type of shit, man. But I do appreciate it. Like, I appreciate y'all niggas like recommending shit that I don't usually watch, because I have enjoyed like the last 5-6 movies a lot. So I'm gonna give it an 8, man. Maybe matter of fact, it was like I would watch it again, but not by myself. Like not like I wouldn't put it on. Like if I was with a bitch, I'm sorry, a girl or something or a woman, I would put that on.
Blue shirts scared of women.
I would put that movie on as like you know what I'm saying, just for something that we both could enjoy. You know what I'm saying? That's not just something that I would want to see. Or you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give it an 8.2. Pretty good movie. Good shit. Sorry ass Ryan Reynolds, nigga. You did great, bitch. Good job.
Thanks, man.
We got to talk about your problem with Ryan Reynolds after this shit.
So for me, I suggested the movie. This is my second time watching it. I think it's really entertaining movie. It was really fun. Probably one of the most fun movies I've ever watched. Probably ever, maybe. It was a real fun movie, I ain't gonna lie. I think the concept was really good. I've seen it kind of done a different way, like Ready Player One. I don't think it's exactly the same. Like they kind of took a different approach with this movie than they did with that one. But I feel like they executed it pretty well in this. I only had the one kind of dispute that I mentioned earlier, which was like Luno said, it was like a continuity error type shit where they said something from the beginning and then they went and they did something different than what they originally stated, and they never explained why or how. And so that's the only issue I have with the movie itself. I do feel like my rating is probably going to suffer from like the second watch type shit, because I feel like my first watch, I probably would have rated it higher. And I probably feel like with my second watch, I'm lowering it than what I originally thought it was. But overall, I give it a 8.3. All right, so for the final rating of Free Guy, we got a 8.1.
Fire.
And
this is now, I think it's worth mentioning, this is now our highest rating movie, I want to say.
That's true.
Is it?
Crazy. It's not even close.
That's not true either, Slim.
What was the highest? I'm looking at them right now.
Movies higher than this.
Yeah.
Lincoln Lawyer. Lincoln Lawyer shits on this. I didn't even realize that.
You rated some shit like a 10 before, didn't you?
You rated Shutter Island a 10.
I definitely. I rated it a 10.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
A 10?
It was just me, you, and Luno. That's why I got so high.
Fucking prove it, goddamn it!
It's there. Like, go listen. Go listen to it.
I'm drunk. You got to prove it to me, goddamn it. Otherwise, it didn't fucking happen.
Hold on. So we got to introduce next week's movie, picked by Fireworks. Fireworks, you're going to have to edit a lot of this shit at the end.
No, yeah, that's kind of why I'm annoyed. But anyways.
That's all right. Next week's movie being chosen by Fireworks. What you got, man?
I just got one question for y'all. Do y'all believe in magic? So I ask again, do you believe in magic? Well, if you do, that's great. We are going to watch 2006's The Prestige, starring Hugh Jackman.
Let's go.
Not what I thought he was going to say.
I've never asked.
Hey,
I thought he was going to see Now You See Me.
I knew it was between one of them two, bro. I knew it was one of them two.
And
I already seen the fucking Prestige, nigga. Let's go.
All right, y'all. This has been the Real Rap Coalition podcast. Free Guy.
This episode.
We are fucking out of here, man.
And the main character name, what? Hugh what?
Jackman, bro. That's
I'm out of here, man.
That's Wolverine, bro.
I hate this episode so much.